Well, thank you for coming out this evening, and I hope you'll be able to hear all right. I'm going to keep it, because of the kind of the background noise in the crowd, I'm going to keep it fairly short. There's been a lot of good news lately. Number one, the learning community property tax plan's been declared unconstitutional. So I had a little bit to do with that before I became state treasurer and ceased practicing law, but I was real happy with that decision. Then we got some more good news today. CNN reported that tomorrow that Freedom Works will endorse my campaign for the U.S. Senate. And they're a conservative grassroots organization, and what they'll help you do is put together a ground game for your campaign. So I'm sure some of you over time will be hearing from some of them. And then also Politico reported late this afternoon that tomorrow Senator Mike Lee of Utah will endorse my candidacy for U.S. Senate. And Senator Lee has this summer set up a political action committee called Constitutional Conservatives, and Politico reports they're sending us a check for $5,000 to go along with the endorsement. Very nice. So, and I've talked to a member or the executive director of that PAC, and they're going to help us raise some money in Washington later this year. So that'll be another big boost for our campaign. And I think the important thing about those endorsements, and we've had some others, I think maybe you're all aware that we were endorsed by Mark Levin, the conservative radio talk show host, by Eric Erickson of Red State, and by the Madison Project. And the thing that all of those endorsements have in common is they're all conservative organizations that want to elect true conservatives to the United States Senate. And they have researched all of the candidates very, very carefully. They've looked at our records, at statements that we've made over the years. And after doing that careful research, they all reached the conclusion that Don Stenberg is a genuine, lifelong conservative. And that's the real importance of those endorsements, because that's the big issue. And we've seen across the country year after year, and especially from 2000 to 2006, Republicans get elected as conservatives, and they got to Washington and they weren't. And so from 2000 to 2006, when we had a Republican president, a Republican House, a Republican Senate, spending went up substantially. They basically imposed substantial, massive new requirements on local education systems, which is not a federal function. They did not secure our borders. They did not develop our domestic energy resources. They just didn't keep most of the promises they made. And we don't want to make that mistake again. And that's what these organizations and endorsements are all about, getting a genuine, lifelong conservative that won't wilt in the liberal heat of Washington. So we're going to build on that. And we're hoping that we can now translate some of those national endorsements to additional support on the ground here in Nebraska. And so we can go into some issues. I think you all know where I stand. We need to secure the borders, develop our domestic energy resources, pass a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution of the United States, and limit federal spending. One last point I want to make. Some of the opposition, no names need be mentioned, suggest, at least in private talks, that, Don just can't win elections. And what you need, or Don can't beat Ben Nelson, can't beat Ben. I have been honored to be the Republican nominee for statewide office 5 times. I won 4 of those 5. 2 of those I was reelected Attorney General with 68% of the vote each time. Last fall, less than 12 months ago, I was elected state treasurer with 73% of the vote. The only general election I've ever lost, the only statewide general election I've ever lost, was to Ben Nelson, and in that one we started more than 30 points behind him. He outspent us 2-1, and we still turned in what is still the closest U.S. Senate race in Nebraska history. So that's a real strong record of winning general elections. that's the message we need to take out there. If you're hearing from anybody that says, well, I don't know if Don can win. Well, 4 out of 5, and the closest U.S. Senate race in Nebraska history is about as strong a record as anybody has in the state of Nebraska. So we need to get that message out a little bit to combat some of this talk, you know, Don can't win, can't beat Ben Nelson. Looking forward to doing that, and looking forward to joining some conservative Republicans and a conservative Republican president in the White House in January 2013 so that we can get the country back on the right track.
What's the difference between you and John Bernie?
I'm the genuine lifelong conservative. That's why we've gotten all these endorsements from Senator Lee and from Freedom Works and from Mark Levin, and they've researched the candidates. That's just it in a nutshell. Don Stenberg's a genuine lifelong conservative. As Eric Erickson said when he endorsed me, you know, I don't want to take a chance on the new guy. I want the guy who's a genuine lifelong conservative with a proven record.